Nigeria on Tuesday recorded an improved ranking in the Corruption Perception Index, CPI, moving 5 places up to rank 145 out of 180 countries assessed. According to the latest corruption index released by Transparency International, the country also gained 1 point added to its previous 24, ending up scoring 25 points out of 100 maximum points in the 2023 CPI result. Apart from moving 5 places up from its 150th position. Arguably, the most widely used global corruption ranking in the world, the CPI measures how corrupt each country public sector is perceived to be and uses a scale of 0 to 100, where 0 means highly corrupt and 100 means very clean. While the index does not show specific indices of corruption in the country, it indicates the perception of corruption in Nigeria. SAPLAT points out that this year's CPI release is not an assessment of Nigerian anti-corruption agencies, but whether it is an assessment or not of the current administration effort to tackle corruption. The big question or the big story still remains. How much impact has corruption had on the most populous black nation on the planet, and can it, I emphasize, can it really be tackled? Well, these and more as it concerns the recent released Corruption Perception Index of the country and what needs to be done to curb the real monster that have been the bane of our underdevelopment is what this edition of The Big Story is all about. Now, we're talking about Nigeria's latest corruption index. Transparency International seek more efforts to curb it. And that's what we're having as a major discourse today on The Big Story. We're talking about Nigeria corruption or perception corruption index and the Transparency International calling for more to be done to address it. But anyway, to help us, or really to help us address it on the station today, we have no other person but somebody from the civil society organization, Push for Better Governance, and we're talking of no other one but Comrade Emeka Owonkocha. Good morning and welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Mike.
Yes, sir, we've moved 5 places up to rank 145 from our previous 150 out of 180 countries that were assessed. And funny enough, we even gained 1 point. We were 24 before, but now 25. And many will say, well, anyway, it's something for us to cheer about. But as much as that, the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, which is Transparency International, said the country's score is below the sub-Sahara level of 33%. So is this something for us to celebrate, or one of deep reflection, still being one of the most corrupt on the continent?
Mr. Mike, if you recall, I think the scale is 0 to 100.
Yes.
Okay. When you attain 0, it then means
you're the most corrupt.
You are the most corrupt. And currently now we are at 25%. And from your simple arithmetic and understanding, I don't think this recent
this
movement, would appeal to Nigerians, or would automatically mean that the fight against corruption, has been fought, with all sincerity, with all determination to nip, this evil in the bud. We are still where we are. We only gained 1 point, and the 25% is nothing, if you want to take it by the 100%.
That it should be.
Yeah. So
making you so clean.
We are not even near the half. Okay. So we are still very, very endemically corrupt nation, and I believe what might have influenced, that little rise on the ladder could be the seeming renewed vigor in the fight against corruption recently, where we have seen the EFCC, arraigned the ex-governor of Anambra State, the person of Willie Obiano, over alleged 4 billion fraud. And I have seen EFCC, investigating Dangote, and we have the president suspending the minister for humanitarian affairs and poverty alleviation, the person of Beta Edu, and other, and the MFLA's gate or saga, as you may call it. So maybe, you know, within this short period of time that the government, you know, came into being, there has been a kind of a renewed vigor in the fight of corruption. Maybe that must have influenced, you know,
the recent jump.
The recent jump. That must have influenced. Not as if before now there's anything to take home about fighting corruption, or you could not say that yes, Nigerian public servants, you know, have understood or are not taking a detour. Yes. No, it has always been business as usual. Nothing has ever changed. So this might be what influenced this little jump in the scale. For me, we are still where we are, deeply rooted in corruption, totally immersed in corruption. There is not obviously nothing to actually take home. Nigeria is still very fantastically corrupt as it had been. So that is my own analysis, and a simple analysis as it is. So there's nothing to.
Okay, now, if we really look at the corruption index in the country, and I want us to go back to 1996.
Yes.
Let's go there. If you look at it, it's averaged between from 1996 to 2022. You know, this one just came out. 2023 just came out yesterday.
Yes.
So let's just look at from 1996 to 2022, and when we look at that, Nigeria corruption index averaged about 21.35%. What I indirectly mean is we had the highest point of 28 points in 2016, and we had the lowest in 1996 of 6.96 points as it concerns corruption. And which makes me to ask, why is corruption so deep-rooted in the country? Why is it now sounding as if it's a way of life, or the way of life of Nigerians? Because that's where the problem, we seem not to be progressing. Yeah, we might go up 2 points up the ladder, 3 points down. We're just hovering around a certain period. Best we've had, like I said, is 2016, 28 points out of 100, which you said is even a far cry from 30 or 33, that's the sub-Sahara average. So let's try to understand, why are we not going beyond that? Why is it a way of life, or has become the way of life of the country? And that's why we just see it as, well, anyway, okay, yeah, we got a point down, point up, 3 points up, 3 points down. Why?
Okay, let us just juxtapose our ranking with that of Seychelles.
Okay.
Seychelles,
yeah,
currently stands at, I think, 79 or thereabout, 71 or thereabout. Then followed by, they call it Cabo Verde, or Cape Verde, right?
Yeah.
64.
Wow.
Followed by Botswana.
All in Africa?
Yeah, all in Africa. I think 58 or thereabout. Now look at these
which are all above average.
These are all African countries. You know, the problem with us, sir, I have repeatedly, you know, made this assertion very clear, that the Nigerian public servant does not believe in probity. Right? There's a culture, there's a mindset that we bring into governance. Right? Because ordinarily, those behind the laws, those pushing the laws, you know, are supposed to be clean men who will lead the path of growth. Rather, when they step into leadership, they tend to emasculate the system and tweak the system, hoodwink the system, turn the system around to profiteer, you know, their own selfish interest. So, the Nigerian public servant does not understand, does not believe in accountability. He does not believe in transparency. When he goes into public office, because the people who are supposed to watch over the affairs of governance, because government is participatory, the citizens have their own role to play in governance, more so when it concerns democratic system. We are the people who elected a crop of people to represent us, representative governance. So we are supposed to be watching the affairs of the people and calling them to question when the need arises. But the citizens seem to be totally detached from governance. We are supposed to put our eye because they said.
So do you feel that's the reason why it festers?
Let me tell you, I have told you that ordinarily humans by nature have the tendency to be corrupt. What makes America a sane society today, what makes Sweden a sane society today as it were, is because the citizens are alive, the laws are working. When you err, irrespective of your class, what class are you bringing? A class that you were given, the citizens give you this class, this opportunity to operate with for the convenience of good governance. That is the essence of it. So if you err, the laws are alive, the laws are watching you. You will be brought to book. But in our own society, in our own system, peculiar to our system, you will see a public servant, being corrupt, mismanaging public fund, misappropriating public fund. The people don't say anything. And we even discuss it at our own public parliament that such magnificence is going on. The citizens don't have the verve. They don't have the courage to intervene, to interrogate, to question. So the public servant now understand that the citizens are quite docile and they don't even seem to bother about their welfare. I want to give kudos to the governor of Delta State, Right Honorable Sheriff Oburuwoli. Let me tell you, I had made a statement that before what I have seen currently now, Delta State and other states, seem to be a state that had over the years produced saints in public service. Because it appears, not even appears, that's the way it is, when public servants in a particular political party serve at their office, there's nothing like probity, there's nothing like investigation. So you will be surprised to know that since 1999, take every state for instance, you have never seen any state government probing, investigating the financial transactions of the past government or the past public office or whatever office, be it a commissioner or whatever. They will man the office the way they want. They will bow out, no question. So that's why I say these states are where saints are produced in public offices. But that ought not to be. But I am beginning to see a different thing. That I have been shouting. Do you know that currently now the governor of Delta State has suspended the commissioner of agriculture in the state over mismanagement of the greenhouse project alleged, and he has automatically asked the permanent secretary to proceed on compulsory leave, and one other, I think 2 other senior personnel in the Ministry of Agriculture, and he constituted a committee to investigate the media report, that indicted them. I have never seen this happen in this state. This is the first time we are seeing the government wanting to be transparent, wanting to ensure that public wealth is accounted for. That is how governance should be. If we had this kind of attitude in previous administration, I want to tell you, every person who is appointed into public office will begin to watch his back. But it has not been so. So the Nigerian public service is being run like a private estate. Do whatever you like. Nobody calls you to question, Mr. Mike. Just because you belong to a particular party. So corruption could fester, it is allowable. Nobody questions. The state's resources can be misappropriated. Nothing because we all come from a particular party.
Don't you think the institutions, and I'm talking, when I mean institution, I'm talking about those are saddled with the responsibility of fighting criminality and corruption, which is a bane of that, still make it almost impossible for the people to react. And the reason I ask this, now let's look at the security agencies that investigate this corruption, either anti-graft agencies or basic normal police, and look at the judiciary itself that sometimes prolong most of these cases in court over the years, and people get weighing of even wanting to pursue this. Don't you feel those institutions are the reason most Nigerians are not even comfortable or even confident in taking most of these leaders up, especially as it concerns their perceived corruption?
That's why, see, you cannot in any way, get a perfect society.
Most certainly.
These problems must rear their ugly heads.
That we know.
But the onus lies on the people to do the needful. You have seen Serap, whether they have gotten judgment or not, but you have seen a continuous activity on Serap to ensure that they put the government on their toes. You have seen that, Serap. So if that action can be duplicated, because the citizens are the owner of the government, sovereignty belongs to us, from whom the government derives all its powers and authorities. Now you are mentioning anti-graft agencies. Yes, the police statutorily ought to even do what the anti-graft agencies are doing. Rather, the creation of the anti-graft agencies was a fallout of the seeming incapacity that the police has brought to public domain over the years. But however, the EFCC here is a government agency, federal government agency in quote. True or false?
True.
Have you ever seen any state domesticating such agency?
In their states?
Yeah. No. It's only federal government that should fight corruption in public office?
No.
But are you not surprised? So if EFCC didn't come to a state to wanting to see the books, so the government cannot have anti-corruption agency that ensures that things are correctly done in the state and the public funds are properly managed and used in the state? I'm asking you. So you don't even find it. That will tell you that our leadership system, the people, they tend, to harbor corruption, they condone corruption, they promote corruption, across board. And that is the reason why the country is deeply seated, rooted in corruption, and it is not even going to make any impact. The 5 points movement is just by the wayside. How many points did we gain? 1 point.
1 point.
When we have opportunity to gain 80 points, sixless, or whatever you call it, 79% or 71%, I think is the best in Africa. What stops us? I don't know human beings living there. So the question is, our country, our leaders, public service, do not believe in accountability. They do not believe in probity. They go in there with another mindset, to further their own personal selfish interest, while public interest is relegated to the background. And that has always been the style of governance over the years. The president condones it, the governors condones it, all of them within the paraphernalia of public office condone it. And that is the reason you are now seeing that corruption in this country is deep-rooted, is endemic. There is no sector you will go that you will not see it staring you in the face. Is it the police? Which ought to be,
fighter.
Which ought to be, how do I mean, an institution that should promote the brand of the country. Because they interact with the public.
Yes.
Other things could be happen behind the scene, but their operations are so open that you could see what they are doing. So, ordinarily, the police institution ought to be properly structured in such a way that the men who are running out affairs should be men of good virtue. But in the street now, when you are traveling now, corruption could be happening. We know you cannot totally eradicate it. But should it be emboldened in such a manner that it is more or less like a financial transaction where you are exchanging money in the public? They're not even bothered. The policeman could give you change, he's not even bothered. No, I want to ask you, at what extent did we get to this level? If he does it with decorum, if he does it with sense of commitment, as a sense of concern, though what I'm doing is bad, but let me, show to the public that I am not what they think. Why behind the scene you do it? It's a different thing. But it is now being advertised in the open. And the society condones it, the government condones it, the House of Assembly members, House of Senate, they all drive across the state and they see these things openly done. And we condone. Have you ever seen them come at the Senate to discuss this issue?
Or policemen taking bribes and giving change.
In the open. Give to me, I give to you in the open. Nothing is hidden. That is why I said, what is left for the country now at the National Assembly, it is a proposal I want to send to them that they should make corruption a legal practice. Okay, let it be in the books now. Because it is accepted. Our body language has accepted it. So let them make it a legal thing now.
I will please
and pass it into law.
It's not we are getting corrupt on this, but we need to go on the break.
Let's pass it into law.
Please, we need to go on the break now. But when we come back, we'll continue our discussion centered on the recent release of Corruption Perception Index released by Transparency International just yesterday, indicating that, yes, we might have climbed up 5 places up from 150 to 145, but we gained only 1 point. And they're still in doubt of our really reason or our push in fighting corruption. Let's go on a break.